She was meant for another man, a magistrate, a powerful collector who treated people like ornaments. But fate, or perhaps a mistake that wasn't a mistake at all, brought her to the wrong door, and the man who opened it would change both their lives forever. Francis Doran never wanted surprises. His life was a straight line, a routine carved into steel and silence. He lived on the 43rd level of a towering spire that groaned against ocean winds. His apartment was small, spotless, and ordered like a soldier's bunk. He woke every morning at the same hour, measured his breakfast to the exact gram, and walked the same corridor to the logistics archive where he spent his days filing cargo, manifests, and auditing shipment codes. It was a quiet existence, a safe existence, and it was nothing like the life he once lived. 10 years earlier, Francis had been a Federation scout, a forward man thrown into hostile sectors where maps were blank and survival was measured in hours. He had slept inside burned-out transports, fought with a knife when orders demanded, and lived on ration paste for weeks. When the Federation dissolved his unit, he chose the Spire because it promised order. No more sudden firestorms, no more betrayals, no more unexpected doors. But fate has a way of knocking when you least expect it. That evening, his clock read 106 when the door chime sounded. Not a delivery hour, not a neighbor. He had none. Francis set down his cup, the old instincts tightening inside him. His body moved with controlled discipline. Cross the room, stop before the panel, glance at the peephole. Always weigh the options. Always measure the risk. When the door slid open, he did not find a package. He found her. She stood in the corridor, rain dripping off white hair that clung to her shoulders. Her clothing was no choice of her own. A ceremonial wrap, thin as gauze, clinging damp against her body. It wasn't attire meant to protect, only to display. Her skin shimmered faint purple with faint green undertones, the mark of Zien hybrids, and her eyes, sharp teal lit from within, looked directly at him. She didn't lower her gaze. That mattered more than the storm outside. Delivery for Francis Doran. Her voice was flat, practiced, as if she had been forced to say those words more than once. Francis's jaw tightened. That's me. Who sent you? Registry says you're the recipient. She shifted, knuckles tightening against a small satchel tied with cord, her only possession. Her next words carried no emotion, yet they cut sharper than any blade. But I wasn't meant for you. I was meant for Magistrate Kellen. Francis studied her. He had seen fear on 100 faces, soldiers and strangers alike. But this was not fear. This was endurance. The kind worn into the soul of someone who had suffered too often. And endurance, he knew, was worse. Inside comma. His thoughts fell into soldiers' lines. Someone had ordered her. She had been delivered to the wrong man. If he reported it, the system would correct itself. She would be sent to Kellen redressed, displayed like a rare acquisition. If he didn't, he became the mistake. What's your name? Serial. The syllables came with hesitation, as if even her own name belonged to someone else. Francis saw the rigidness in her shoulders, the daring in her eyes that challenged him to close the door. And in that moment, he already knew. You're wet, he said, his voice steady. Come inside. Her eyes narrowed. You're not returning me? No. The single word cracked her mask, but not with relief. Her uncertainty deepened. Still, she stepped past him, and the door sealed behind them with a hiss. The storm's howl vanished, replaced with silence that pressed heavier than the rain. Serial stood dripping on the spotless floor, arms crossed. Not with modesty, but with intent. Her eyes scanned the room. Plain furniture, shelves arranged with military precision, a folded blanket on the couch. No weapons visible, no one waiting. She measured risk. He let her. He understood. He had done the same 100 times. Bathrooms left, he said. Shower works. Towels are clean. You don't even know me. Her voice carried an edge, a test. You should have called the bureau. You're freezing. That silenced her more than command could. She moved past him, cautious, and closed the door. Water began to run. Francis stood motionless. His mind lined up possibilities. This mistake wasn't random. Either someone had routed her here to test him, or someone had decided she was disposable. Reporting her meant complicity. Keeping her meant defiance. He boiled water, laid out food, and set spare clothes on the counter. His scar itched when he thought of Magistrate Kellen's smug face, a man who turned living people into ornaments. The bathroom door clicked. Steam rolled out. Serial emerged with hair combed back, skin flushed from warmth. But she hadn't touched his clothes. She had retied the wrap, covering herself more but still leaving parts exposed. A deliberate choice. A test. Francis didn't look away. He didn't leer, didn't flinch. He slid a bowl across the table. Eat. You should return me, she said. No. Sit. Her eyes searched his face for the hidden demand, the trap waiting behind kindness. Finding none, she sat. Hunger betrayed her caution. The first spoonful slowed her hands. The second softened her expression. She ate like someone who had gone without too long. Why keep me? She asked finally. Because I don't return people like cargo. That choice isn't yours. It is tonight. Silence stretched, but in that silence something shifted. When she asked, Where do I sleep? Francis answered simply, Where you want. Couch, bed, door locks. Choice is yours. Her teal eyes searched for lies and found none. Couch. He fetched a blanket, set it down without ceremony. She lay watching him the entire time. He locked the door, slid the bolt, and took the chair that gave him sight of both her and the entrance. Old scout habits. Unapologetic. You really won't send me back? No. Then you've made yourself a target. I've made myself a man who won't open the door to Kellen. Her lips pressed tight, half disbelief, half something else. She turned into the pillow, eyes closing to the sound of rain against steel. Francis sat steady, listening to the storm, knowing one thing with clarity. He would not return her. But choice always comes with a price. And the storm outside was nothing compared to the storm that had just stepped into his life. The storm outside never really stopped around a spire. Rain hammered the support beams below, making the city sway in movements so small most pretended not to notice. But Francis noticed. He always noticed. He remained seated long after Serial's eyes closed on the couch. Sleep did not come easily, to him. A misdelivered gift under his roof made it impossible. His scar itched with the memory of war zones where the easy answer always left broken lives behind. Returning her would be clean, but clean answers had blood hidden beneath them. Hours passed. Wind howled. At some point in the night she stirred. Her breathing hitched, uneven, like someone fighting a nightmare. Francis turned his head slightly. She whispered something in her own language, words cracked by pain and resistance. Her hands curled as if clinging to a blanket someone was trying to tear away. You're safe here, Francis said softly across the room. Her body shifted, calmed. She wasn't awake, not fully, but the words reached her. Morning bled pale light. Through the glass wall, storm clouds filtering every ray. Serial sat up, hair tangled, ceremonial wrap loose at one shoulder. Her eyes narrowed when she saw him still at the table. You didn't sleep. No. You were watching me. Yes. She paused. Men watched her often, but not like this. Not at a distance. Not without reaching. She pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders, unsure what unsettled her more, his restraint or his presence. Why live like this? She asked finally, voice quieter than before. Empty rooms. Order everywhere. Alone. Because order doesn't betray you, he said simply. People do. That silence that followed was heavier than the storm. She nodded once as though she knew exactly what he meant. He placed a shirt and pants on the couch. Wear these, you don't need that wrap here. Her eyes hardened. This is all I was given. They stripped me of everything else. Then let it end here. She studied his face for mockery and found none. She took the clothes and disappeared into the bathroom. When she returned, she wore his shirt. It hung low against her thighs, making her look less like a symbol, more like a person. She tugged at the fabric, unsure what it meant. Better, Frances said simply. You still haven't asked why I was meant for him, she said. Why Kellen? I assumed you'd tell me when you wanted to. That surprised her. Everyone else had forced answers out of her. This man waited. Finally, she sat at the table. My people signed a trade accord. Kellen demanded a gift. They chose me. My family had no standing anymore. Easier to give away what no one defends. Frances's gray eyes betrayed no shock. Inside, anger simmered, sharp but controlled. He had seen this before. Treaties sealed not with ink, but with bodies. The Federation had called it diplomacy. He called it what it was, convenience. You thought I'd return you without question, he said. Yes. You thought I'd use you if I didn't. Her throat tightened. Yes. And the fact that I haven't unsettles you. Her eyes flicked to him. Yes. Get used to it. She looked away, confusion flickering with the faintest thread of relief. By evening, their rhythm shifted. She walked the room with less stiffness. He spoke a little more. The air between them carried something alive, fragile and unspoken. They hadn't touched, except when he handed her a bowl. But tension lived between every glance. As the second night fell, Cyril stood by the glass wall staring at the black ocean below. If he comes, she said, you'll be punished, not me. You know that. I know. Why risk it? His voice was calm, but each word was weight. Because I'd rather stand against him than hand you over. She turned toward him, stormlight flickering across her eyes. That makes you more dangerous than him. Frances met her gaze without flinching. Good. The storm outside roared, but the real collision had begun inside. The third night settled in heavier. The city's power grid flickered under the strain of the storm. Corridor lights dimmed, then returned. Inside the apartment, silence pressed thick. Cyril leaned against the glass, arms folded across the shirt he had given her, tugging at the hem as though it betrayed her. You're waiting, Frances said quietly. For what? For me to break. Her eyes narrowed. Men don't wait this long. I'm not other men. That answer unsettled her. She sat at the table, pushed the food away. You said you wouldn't hand me back. Do you even know what that means? Do you know who Kellen is? Trade magistrate, collects living bodies like coins, I know. Her jaw clenched. She had expected ignorance, maybe naivety. His calm certainty cut deeper. Then you know he doesn't forgive mistakes. He'll notice I'm missing. He'll find me. If he does, Frances said, he'll find a locked door. You think that will stop him? No. But men, like him, don't like noise. And I'll make noise. Her lips parted. No words coming. He understood the danger. He wasn't pretending otherwise. And what then? She asked. You keep me here forever, like some possession? I don't keep you, Frances said. You stay or you leave, yours to decide. The word choice pressed inside her chest heavier than she wanted. But before she could answer, the storm itself chose to intervene. Lightning cracked, thunder rolled, and the lights died. The glass wall became a black mirror. The apartment fell into darkness. Frances moved instantly, a soldier's habit. He pulled a lantern from a drawer and lit it. Warm orange glow spread across the room, catching Cyril's face where she stood frozen against the glass. You expected this? She asked. I don't trust the grid in storms. I prepare. That told her more about him than any story could. A man who assumed systems would fail, who built his own backups, who lived ready for collapse. And that realization unsettled her more than the blackout itself. She folded her arms tighter across the shirt. You watch me like I'm going to run. Not run, he said evenly. Break. The word hit her, chest too close. She hated that he saw it. She turned to the couch, curling her knees under her. What if I walked to Kellen's door right now? What would you do? I'd stop you, he said without hesitation. Not to keep you for me, to keep you from being destroyed. The word destroyed carried weight. Too much weight to argue. Silence filled the dark, broken only by rain hammering steel. Serial's voice cracked through at last, quieter, almost breaking. Do you wonder why it was me? Why I was chosen? Yes, he said. Her throat tightened. My family had debts. I was easy to hand over. A neat solution. They gave you away, he said. Yes. His voice carried no shock, just a steady refusal to let it define her. You're not property. The words sank deeper than she expected. She didn't thank him. Gratitude was dangerous. But for the first time, she almost believed him. The lantern's glow painted shadows on the walls. Two strangers sat in silence, closer than before, the storm pressing against glass. The city outside shuddered, but inside something even more fragile began to take root. And Serial knew for the first time in years that her next choice might actually belong to her. The blackout stretched longer than anyone in the spire would tolerate. Outside, lightning carved white scars across the ocean sky. But inside the apartment, only the lantern's dim glow pushed back the shadows. Francis sat at the table, calm and immovable. Serial curled on the couch, restless, eyes glimmering in the flickering light. Every silence between them pressed heavier than words. She broke it at last. Why didn't you send a report? Not even a message that the delivery was wrong. His gaze didn't falter. Because the moment I do, you're gone. Her voice trembled. You'd risk everything for someone you don't even know. I know enough. What's enough? That you're not a thing to be passed around. The words struck harder than thunder. She sank back against the couch, hands covering her face for a moment, before lowering them slowly. He didn't move closer, didn't push, just stayed steady, like a wall against the storm. And in that steadiness, she understood. His refusal wasn't hesitation. It was principle. The lantern dimmed, its battery waning. Francis adjusted it, conserving light. Soldier's habit never leaving him. Serial's eyes softened, though her voice stayed edged. You'll regret this when they come knocking. I've regretted worse. Then what do you want from me? Nothing you don't choose. The words hung between them, heavier than the storm outside. Not fear now. Something else, something that neither dared name. By the second blackout hour, the city itself felt like it had vanished. No hum of climate systems, no steady glide of trams. The apartment became an island cut off from the world. Serial stirred, rising from the couch. The oversized shirt brushed her thighs as she crossed the floor slowly, each step testing him. You could sit there all night, she said, but sooner or later you'll collapse. I've gone longer. And then, you collapse and I'm left alone when he comes. The question cut deep. Was his discipline more important than her safety? His hesitation told her the answer. He was weighing her more than he admitted. Her hand touched the back of his chair. You guard the door, you guard me, but you won't lie down. I don't need— You do, she interrupted sharply, then softened. You're not made of steel. His eyes met hers, patient and unyielding. Then what do you want me to do? Her breath shivered out. I don't want the couch anymore. The words landed like a strike. He searched her face for manipulation, found none. She meant it. The bed is clean, he said. She moved past him into the small sleeping room. Stormlight flashed through the glass wall, painting the bed in cold white. She lay down, pulling the blanket up, her body rigid, but her face turned toward the door. Francis hesitated at the threshold, one hand on the frame. If you mean what you've been saying, she whispered, prove it. Lie down. He crossed the room, sat on the edge of the bed. The mattress dipped under his weight. The air thickened, charged. She shifted closer, her arm brushing his. You won't touch me unless I choose, she whispered. That's the truth. Her hand rested against his chest, feeling the steady beat beneath. She left it there, testing him, testing herself. He didn't move, didn't take more than she offered. His restraint burned hotter than hunger. She lowered her head onto his shoulder. For the first time in years, she slept without waking in fear. For the first time since leaving the field, Francis let someone share his bed. The storm raged on, but inside the room, the real storm was changing shape. When dawn came, corridor lights flickered back alive, the city's rhythm humming again as if nothing had happened. But inside the apartment, everything had shifted. Serial woke first, her cheek against his shoulder, her hand still on his chest. He stirred instantly, soldier's reflex, but stayed where he was. She pulled away slowly, unsettled, not by distance, by the fact he hadn't claimed her, even when given the chance. By mid-morning, Francis noticed something strange at the archive, the way clerks glanced at him, the way conversations hushed when he entered. At lunch, he caught a fragment. Kellen's gift had not arrived. Rumors were spreading. He returned home sooner than usual. Serial stood at the window, arms folded, watching, trams snake along suspended tracks. She didn't turn when he entered. "They're talking," he said. "I know. I felt it in the market this morning." Her voice was flat, but her fingers dug into her arms. "The way they looked at me. They know I don't belong here. You went out." His tone sharpened. "I'm not a prisoner," she shot back, chin lifted. His jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. He set down a ration bag, speaking evenly. "Then you know the questions are spreading." She turned, eyes flashing. "How long do you think you can keep me before they come knocking? You can't hide me in plain sight." "I'm not hiding. You." "Then what?" Her voice cracked, not in volume but in weight. "You think your locked door will matter when Kellen decides I belong in his hall?" Francis stepped closer, each movement precise. "I think my decision matters. And yours?" Her breath caught. "My decision? Do you really believe that matters to him?" "It matters here," he said firmly, tapping the floor between them. "In this room. To me. To you." The words cut through her panic like a blade. She wanted to dismiss him as naive, but his calmness left no room. His certainty forced her to consider the possibility. That choice could exist even in a world that denied it. She sank onto the couch, shoulders tense, staring at the floor. Finally, she whispered, "Do you know why I was selected?" "You said, debts, but there's more." Her teal eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. "I was supposed to be proof, a reminder that families like mine can be taken apart without consequence. They don't care if I live well or die badly. They only care that I'm displayed under his roof." Francis absorbed the words. His scar burned. He had seen this before. Lives turned into symbols. Survival turned into spectacle. His voice came, low, steady. "They chose the wrong door. What if that mistake cost you everything? Then it cost me, not you." Her breath hitched. For the first time, someone placed the weight on himself, not her. Her fingers twisted the hem of his shirt, voice breaking. "You don't even know what I'm worth." His gray eyes locked on hers. "I know you're not. A thing to be displayed." Her throat tightened, eyes stinging. She turned to the window to hide it. The circle was tightening. Whispers were reaching higher levels, and soon Kellen himself would come to claim what he believed was his. But what he found waiting at Francis's door would not be what he expected. By the third night, rumors were no longer whispers. They had grown into something sharper, something with names attached. Magistrate Kellen's missing gift was no longer gossip. It had reached the council floor. Francis knew it the moment two uniformed enforcers stepped into the archive hall. They spoke in hushed tones with his supervisor, eyes flicking toward him. He didn't break rhythm, his hand moving steadily across the ledger, but his jaw tightened until the scar on his cheek pulled white. When he returned home, Serial was exactly where he expected her, by the window, watching the endless fall below the spire. Her reflection in the glass looked thinner, more fragile. She hadn't moved all day. They'll come soon, she said without turning. I know. His voice stayed even as he checked the door bolt, a soldier's ritual. You think you can stop them with one door? I don't need to stop the spire, Francis replied, stepping closer. His gray eyes held steady. I need to stop one man, and I won't do it with weapons. I'll do it with you. Her throat tightened. You're giving me the choice you keep promising. Yes. Before she could reply, the chime sounded. A single clear note, sharp as a blade. Serial froze. Francis didn't. He crossed the room, posture straight, calm as iron. The door slid. Open. Magistrate Kellen stood in the corridor. He carried no guards. He didn't need them. His presence filled the space. Dark coat cut with precision, hair slicked into order, smile polished and cold. 2 aides hovered behind him, silent shadows. Francis. Doran, Kellen said smoothly. I believe you've received something that belongs to me. Francis didn't step aside. You've come to the wrong door. Kellen's smile sharpened. No, I came to the exact door. You've kept her here 3 nights. Bold mistake, for a man who values his quiet life. Behind Francis, Serial moved into view. Kellen's eyes shifted, and for the first time his mask cracked. Expectation, ownership, the gaze of a collector reclaiming a piece. There you are, he said softly, like a master to a pet. Come along. The hall is ready. You'll be displayed properly. Her stomach twisted. Instinct screamed at her to obey. Years of conditioning weighed heavy. Her feet shifted half a step forward, until Francis's voice cut the air. No one's forcing her through this door. Kellen's gaze snapped back, irritation flashing. You misunderstand. She was offered to me. That makes her mine. You cannot alter a transaction after it's made. I don't care what you think she is, Francis said flatly. Silence stretched, heavy, dangerous. Serial's pulse hammered in her ears. This was the moment, not his choice. Hers. Her body trembled, but she stepped forward, not toward Kellen, but closer to Francis. Her shoulders squared, her chin lifted, and her voice cut, like a blade into the corridor. I don't belong to you. Kellen's eyes narrowed, the polished mask fracturing. I was given away without choice, she said, louder now, the words trembling but unbroken. But I choose now. I stay here. For the first time, Kellen faltered. His trophies had never spoken. His illusions had never shattered so openly. He saw no fear in her eyes, only resolve. And behind her stood Francis, silent, steady, unmovable. The aides shifted uneasily, eyes flicking between them. Kellen smoothed his coat, forcing his composure back into place. His voice turned cold. Very well. Enjoy your rebellion while it lasts. The city forgets fast, but I do not. He turned, footsteps measured, authority cracking just slightly in the silence he left behind. Francis closed the door. The bolt slid into place with a final click. Inside comma. The air felt smaller, heavier. Serial collapsed onto the couch, legs trembling. Her hands shook against her knees. If I had stepped out, she whispered. You didn't, Francis said. Her eyes lifted, raw and burning. Why risk standing with me? You could have handed me over and gone back to your quiet life. He leaned against the table, arms folded. Because once you spoke, it wasn't about me. It was about you saying it, and I wanted to see you say it. Her throat closed, eyes stinging. The man who had been delivered a mistake had just made her declaration possible. For the first time in years, she wasn't simply safe. She was free. The city outside hummed back to order, but inside the old order had been broken forever. She stared at him, chest rising quick, then steadier. If I had gone with him, you would have let me. Yes, he said. Because it had to be yours, not mine. Her lips parted, trembling. No one has ever given me that. Then you start now. She rose slowly, legs unsteady, but every step deliberate. Her hand brushed his arm, slid to his chest. He didn't move closer, didn't retreat. He let her decide. Her voice broke, but carried more truth than any she had spoken before. I choose you. For the first time, his discipline softened. He lifted his hand, not claiming, not commanding, just resting it lightly against her back. Then I'll keep you, he said. Not as possession, as promise. Her forehead pressed against his chest, her body trembling once before steadying. For the first time, she believed it. She wasn't a mistake. She wasn't a transaction. She wasn't a trophy. That night, she did not ask for the couch. She walked into the bedroom, climbed onto the bed and waited. When Francis followed, she didn't flinch. Their closeness unfolded not with hunger, but with slow, deliberate care. Every movement was chosen. Every gesture was hers to give. For him, it was not conquest. It was trust. For her, it was not surrender. It was reclamation. The storm outside faded into calm. Morning sunlight pierced the glass wall, falling across the bed where she lay curled against him. She wore his shirt again, but now it was no disguise. It was hers by choice. She woke to find him watching. You're still here? She whispered. Where else would I be? And for the first time in longer than she could remember, she smiled. Not as armor, not as defiance, but simply as herself. She had been sent as a gift. She had been delivered to the wrong man. And in that mistake, she had found the only man who never returned her. Not possession. Not property. Belonging.